Today we'll be going over Victimology Chapter 2. Now Chapter 2 first gets into the statistical analysis kind of by surveys and kind of how victimization is measured. It starts out with the Uniform Crime Report, and this is collected by the FBI, and it's kind of a data of victimization, and it covers Index 1 crimes being murder, forcible rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, motor vehicle theft, as well as arson, and then Index 2 crimes being all other crimes. Now, while this can be somewhat effective in viewing victimization, it also lacks the dark figure of crime, as not all crimes are reported. The different agencies can fudge their numbers. The chapter then talks about the National Incident-Based Reporting System, and this is kind of more detailed as it has more categories, and it also gives more information about the victims. But with the NIBRs, it still lacks, the dark figure of crime, and so this is still another issue. Then we get into the National Crime Victimization Survey. Now, this is an annual survey sent out by mail to about 95,000 households. One person in the household above the age of 12 fills out this form, and each household remains in the study for about 3 years for a total of 7 interviews, about 6 months apart. Now, this is more beneficial than the UCR and NIBRs, as it does measure the dark figure of crime. People can answer what has happened to them, report it because they don't feel safe reporting it to the police straight up, things like that. But there's still some issues with this kind of being, it's really detailed and confusing sometimes. The questions aren't clear. It's also long and time consuming, and you can't answer honestly if the abusers. Last survey talked about is the International Crime Victim Survey. Now, this is kind of just looks at and differentiates different victims' experiences across different countries. It surveyed more than 340,000 people, and it also adds in stuff like bicycle theft, and threats and threat of personal property and stuff like that are a bit different than typical victimization surveys. Next, Chapter 2 gets into different theories, starting with victim precipitation theory, which kind of says that victims may kind of cause their own victimization or bring about their own victimization, either actively or passively. An example of active precipitation would be kind of like if you're at a bar and you start cussing at someone or getting in their face, you might be victimized as you actively cause that to happen. They might retaliate. Passive precipitation can even be something as little as you have red hair and someone wants to just attack someone that has red hair. There's nothing you can do about it, but it's still a feature you have. Then we kind of get into different personality theories where victims have impulsive personalities. They lack self-control, and they're kind of not very likely to practice any sort of risk avoidance. They tend to have that thrill-seeking factor sometimes. Victims are risk takers, and they fail to take, good precautions that can cause them to end up being victimized. Then this chapter kind of looks at high-risk lifestyles. This could be anything like prostitutes, as they are meeting random strangers, oftentimes most of the time unsupervised. There's also the college lifestyle, which deals a lot with alcohol. You're up late, you're out late, and there's not many adult supervision, and so these are all just things that lead to victimization. And then there's also the criminal lifestyle, which, when you're around criminals, you're more likely to be victimized by these criminals. This chapter then gets into routine activities theory. Now, this states that victimization results from kind of like 3 everyday factors, these being the lack of a capable guardian, the availability of suitable targets, and the presence of motivated offenders. Suitable targets could be anybody, but it also could just be something like an unlocked car. The absence of a capable guardian, this could be something like cameras, or even a bystander that's just walking by could be a capable guardian. And then presence of motivated offenders, so that's somebody that wants to go out and commit crime. This chapter wraps up by talking about different factors that influence victimization, and these being alcohol, different neighborhoods you can live in, family structure, and friends. Friends being if you hang around deviant friends, you're going to get victimized. Weak family ties, you're more likely to be victimized. Living in a bad neighborhood, also, you're more likely to be victimized. And lastly, with alcohol, offenders can see you as a very suitable target, and you don't have a good ability to react.